Hello, people. We want to make welcome one of my big brothers. I'm going to tease him a lot today. I'm going to tease him a lot today. Francis Ameh, you are so welcome. I've said your name already, but you still have to introduce yourself. Okay, now, first of all, let's make this clear. I know you. I've spent like nothing less than 4 years or 3 years with you in the seminary. So, but I'm going to be asking you questions as if I don't know you because I want the followers, I want the audience to get to know you. So, please welcome to this platform. Could you tell us your name, where you're from, what you do, and anything that you maybe want to get out there about yourself?
Okay, thank you so much, Fortune. I will be calling you Fortune, even though your name is Fortunatus. So I'll be calling you Fortune. Thank you so much for the
Yeah.
Fortune, for the opportunity and for inviting me to your platform. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I'm so honored and humbled to be among scholars, great minds. So he rightly mentioned my name. Francis Ameh is the name, and I'm from Kogi State. I'm a Nigerian, so I don't want to regionalize this. I'm a Nigerian. And then for what I do, I'm into monitoring and evaluation, and I currently work with an international NGO teaching at the right level, where we support kids in underserved environment to help them scale their educational, um, their education. Yeah. So I do monitoring and evaluation for the organization, and I lead monitoring and evaluation currently in Kano State, where I reside at the moment. I think that works for now, unfortunately, right?
Okay,
Is there
that's
any other
cool.
thing you want me
Yes,
to say?
it's totally fine. It's totally fine. You know, I must say this right away that during my NYSC, Francis reached out to me and said, "Fortune, apply for this thing." The teaching stuff that he does. So this is just trying to shout out to you in your presence for the way you have supported not just me, other ex-seminarians, other brothers. The way that you see the light and then you try to make people to key into it. So I don't want
So
to wait till the end.
just a quick disclaimer. I only taught for 2 years when I joined Teach for Nigeria. I don't work with Teach for Nigeria anymore. I
Okay.
am working with a different organization. So I only taught for 2 years between 2018 and 2020 in Kaduna. Yeah. So currently I do monitoring and evaluation. I've shuffled between different roles since and that time. And I currently do monitoring and evaluation. So I'm
Okay.
into data analysis. Of course, you know what monitoring and evaluation entails. So that's what I do.
I might
Yeah.
know, but could you tell us more about what it is? I mean, for the viewers who do not know what monitoring and evaluation is.
Okay, so monitoring and evaluation is like helping organization design and framework for implementing projects, and then you are into data collection, data analysis, reporting, and recommending programmatic, making recommendations for programmatic decision. So you get to design log frames, design a lot of stuff, implementation strategies. How are you going to track your tracking indicator? How are you going to track all those outcomes, outputs, and the rest? And then okay, you also do data collection, like I mentioned earlier. You analyze this data, and then you make reports and make bring out recommendations for programmatic decisions to whoever partner you are implementing for. So that's what I do basically at the moment. Oh, thank you
Okay.
so much for all those of you saying your hi or sending your your regards.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Do you mind telling us what your seminary experience is? And this is all totally up to you. Like, when did you get in? How was the experience?
Okay.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear you.
My experience. Can you hear me?
Yes, good.
Please confirm if you can hear me. Okay, great.
I can
Okay,
hear
so
you.
my
Yes.
experience, will I say, was kind of roller coaster in nature, and Yeah, it was a lot of mixed feelings, and but then it was great. So I will start off with so the priesthood is a noble vocation, right? Is a noble vocation I recommend for anybody who wants to embrace it, right? But then why uh, why considering a vocation in the priesthood? So why considering a vocation in the priesthood? There are two things I want us to bear in mind, right? In the first, for the first, just know that some are called and they will be chosen. Some are not called, they will be chosen. Why some are called and they are not chosen? I'm going to break it down so that you won't get confused. And then from
Let's
there, I
let's
will
let's
delve
get it
into
clear. Some are called
some
and
are
they are
called, they are chosen. Some are called, they are not chosen. Why some are not called, they are chosen. Now, let's look at it from the aspect of success, fruitfulness, and happiness, right?
mm,
Those who are called and are chosen, you see how they are successful, they are fruitful, and they are happy in the vocation, right? When you look at them, you'll be like, ah, this is the kind of priest I'd love to be. This is the kind of priest I'd love to look up to. This is the kind of priest I want to emulate. This is what a definition of the priesthood, right? You
yeah,
see these guys as in they exude what priestly vocation is all about and what the priesthood entails, right? The call to service. They are so selfless, right? They are selfless and they give in their all, they are dedicated, they are devout, they are committed to whatever they want
yeah,
to do. Then for those some are called, they are not chosen, right? It's either at the beginning they don't get admitted into the seminary, but you know that these ones, even as lay faithful, they are priestly in nature. You be like, okay, why are you not in the seminary? Because you look like one of them, right? You start asking them such questions of why are you not in the seminary, right? And then for those who, and those ones, they also tend to be happy with whatever vocation they finally resort to doing. Then for those who are not called and are chosen, right? They either force their ways into the seminary and they become walking disasters on the street of the church and the society, right? It's quite
go
funny,
ahead.
right? But then it's quite funny, right? But then this is the reality. For this
Yeah,
group of persons, they can be successful, they can be fruitful, but will they be happy? That is where the question lies. And as a result, they start transferring their aggression. They become, like I said, walking disasters on the street of the church and the society. When they preach, and they preach until the point that Jesus Christ will like want to run down his face. But when the sun goes down, they become hooligans, right? They become witches and wizards, right? And you don't want to be a sad priest. You don't want to be an
yeah,
unhappy priest, right?
yeah.
And then the second point I am going to draw on this before talking about my experience is the fact that some are called to the seminary, but they are not called to be priests. So I think I was called to the seminary, but I wasn't called to be priest. And for some
Okay.
of us who are also and for some of us who are also exes, we are called to the same or we are called to the seminary, but we weren't called to be priests. And why did I say so? And let's talk a bit about my experience, right? So for me,
Yeah.
it was smooth, right? It was okay, but then I wasn't feeling it from the day one. I wasn't feeling it. So I remember in my year one, when we were in year one philosophy, I had this deep conversation with a friend of mine. I don't know if he's on this call. I'm not going to mention his name, but when we had our first break, that was after our investiture, and then it was December. We went home for the Christmas holiday. We were just chatting, and now normally you come home, you see seminarians with that raffia bag that they always have their sultan inside. They'll be doing the yup with comb inside the bag, and then some of them with their hairs full, and they always go around. So we were just feeling the walking around the vibe, and one that was like, and I asked that guy, let's be sincere, is this thing worth it? And he paused, he looked at me, was like, truth is, Francis, I don't even see you becoming a priest because you've always detested the priesthood, right? You've always said, okay, you just want to be a good Christian and you don't want to be a priest, you just want to serve God as a Christian. And that was my goal. I remember even when we were in the minor seminary, I always said, me, priesthood, I won't go. I won't go to the seminary. I was always saying that. And but then I found my way into the seminary when I met a brother. Should I mention his name? When I met a brother, Felix Gibrin. I'm so sorry, Felix, if you are
Ah,
watching this. I have to mention your name. So I and Felix we were
Felix is
schoolmates,
either
right?
here. He's either here right now or he
Yeah.
will join later.
And I and Felix we were classmates from the minor seminary, right? So it was in 2010, in late 2009, he reached out and he was like, Francis, how far? And there's this organization I'm in. Do you want to explore it? I was like, "Oh, let me think about it." Right. So he reached out and later on, and again, he later reached out again, and okay, I considered it and I applied, and that was how I came into Shonstad. Of course, thank you so much, Felix, for providing me that platform, right, and for sharing all the resources I needed at that point. He was so instrumental, yeah, in my coming into the seminary, to the major seminary. But then, like I was saying, I wasn't called. I don't think I was called to be a priest, right? I was called to the same. I would have been a very good priest if I had become a priest. And I know myself, and I know why I'm saying that I would have been a very good priest because I know the values I live for. I know what I stand for, right? But then, so while having this conversation with this friend of mine, he mentioned it, and I was like, "Bros, I'm not surprised you are saying this because this is I've been thinking about this deeply, and I don't know if this is what I want because the things I've seen within this short period, right, are the things that I've always been skeptical about. The things I don't want to get involved with are the things I started seeing, right? Um, and for me, I started having serious vocation crisis from my year one. I struggled with this all through, but then you won't notice it because for those of you who met me, you would testify that I was up and doing with everything I needed to do, right? It is very difficult to want to binge hunt me or to want to say, okay, I won't come for any activity. I was up and doing with whatever I needed to do. But then, and then when I went to Burundi and I came back, okay, and prior to this time, I had served the community and 3 consecutive years as a coordinator or an auxiliary, as the case may be. I was also the bosser
Okay.
in the seminary. Yeah, I was also the bosser, and yeah, I love these experiences, right? Because they really shaped my they shaped my leadership skills, right? They built me up in terms of leadership, academically, and a lot of stuff. I was I was built up. I discovered myself in the seminary. I actually discovered that was the point I discovered myself while I was in the seminary. And then when I went to Burundi with my brother, Stanley, may he so rest in peace. Just going to pause a moment just to
Yeah.
give him that respect.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So I told Stan, my brother, then I told him that, guy, I'm leaving when we are back to Nigeria. I'm leaving the seminary. He was like, why? And I'm telling him that, bros, these thoughts have been on my mind for a very long time, and I don't think I'll continue because I'm not just feeling it, right? When we returned to Nigeria, I'm before then I started hinting my parents that I'll be leaving the seminary, right? That I don't think I want to become a priest. I think I have discovered I've discovered myself, right? Because yeah. So first off, I'll just pause here. I will cycle back to this point. So before I joined the seminary, it was rough, right? I had it very rough with my dad, and on different occasions I was disowned, right? On different occasions, yeah. But it hasn't got to the point of oh my soul, oh my God. On different occasions, I was disowned because my dad was like his first son going to the seminary to become what, to do what, right? So we were always having this loggerheads, and it wasn't funny. On different occasions, the aggression was transferred to my mom because I said I was going to the seminary. Felix, you always be identified for something bad. It's in your nature. On a lighter note, though, so I always had an issue with my dad wanting to go to the seminary, so it was rough. And on different occasions, like I mentioned, I was disowned because of that. And then, but then I came in, and at some point, he started becoming at home with it. But it was already very late because in my mind, I decided that I was leaving the seminary.
Yeah.
But my crisis was worsened when uh, I was supposed to work with a certain priest in a certain parish. I'm not going to mention the name of the place. I was there with a very good brother and friend. He's also in the States now, right? And for me, he was making some comments that I was like, ah, like seriously? As it was like, I'm done. So he started with something like he used to give the community some funds every year. What have I given to the community? So aside that, he was like, yes, he had that I'm very intelligent, but that doesn't matter. And then he mentioned one that offed me. And that one switched me up entirely. He was like, I'm corrupting. The other brother was like, me, corrupt brother. How? I needed explanation, but I wasn't getting it. Right?
Yeah.
And then all these were like adding fuel to the fact that I'd already lost interest a very long time ago. I was just struggling, asking God, God, help me, let me discern this vocation. Let me discern that purpose you wanted me to fulfill in life. If it is not the priesthood, help me to face the society, help me to
Yeah.
live, right? And then at this period, then we went to the novitiate after. So I left that. I actually left that parish without completing the 1 month I was supposed to stay. I had to go back to the community, and then from there I went for break, and we resumed for novitiate sometime in September, right here. And it was even crazier in the novitiate. I was always having this conversation with my friend and with one of my brothers at the time, and I was telling him that, bros, I don't think that this place is it. So he also had his own um, issues. He was also complaining about, or he also raised some issues that how the seminary was not just adding up, how a lot of things are not done properly, and how the life we have envisioned is stark different from what we are seeing at that point. And for me, the reason why I never wanted to be a priest is I had watched a lot of diocesans, and for me, for some of the life they were leading, it wasn't it for me, and I didn't want to be like one of them. So when I was going into a community or a religious environment, so to say, it was
Mm.
going to change, or it was going to find give me back that drive, right? Because of course now, what would you imagine someone who served as an altar server for over 8 years and then lived all his life within the church premises and the rest? So what would you imagine? So that was the case, but I wasn't. What I was seeing in India was just different entirely, and I was like, no. So I had the same mindset with the other brother I was sharing with, and he was also telling me how he was also going to leave. But all this period when I was having this conversation, I'd already applied for my NYC, so I already prepared. But don't worry, we'll come down to all those things. I already
Yeah.
started putting in steps. But some striking things that happened in the novitiate that for me, it was a no was I was hearing the voices of that priest who who started bullying me verbally, right? Because I will call it bully, right? Who started bullying me verbally from a formator in the novitiate. I'm not going to mention anybody's name as well. From a formator who told me that uh, there are brothers whose parents give the community stuff like 100,000, 200,000. What are my parents giving to the community? And for me, it was that was the point I let it loose. As in, I was like, you don't have to tell me this, because aside that, I've had stuff like um aside that I've had stuff like I'm corrupting the brothers in the novitiate. How? Brothers who were like me, I no get mind. Francis, you no get mind. Now me go
let
come dey
let me
corrupt
let
them.
me say let me say something there because I was with
Please
you.
go ahead.
Francis is a working excellence. He's a bundle of just expertise in anything he does. He's a first class guy. He comes to the chapel before everyone else. He is the very fun loving guy. And you know why he loves me the most? If both of us are in the same team when we are doing games.
Yeah, those moments they were like my great moments. Yeah,
Yeah, Francis
and
loves football. I wanted to ask you a few questions so that you help those who do not have experience of seminary to understand to follow the conversation. What is investiture? What did you do in Burundi, and what was that? How was that useful? And you already said that you served in different capacities in the community. This means that seminarians in seminary do different functions. And what is novitiate? So I just wanted to explain these things so that people who do not know can be carried along as we continue.
okay, so
Investiture,
investiture.
yeah,
Okay, I got the question. So investiture is a point where you are like officially accepted as a seminarian. You get the sultan, right?
yeah,
Just in brief, I'm not going to delve into that. You officially become a seminarian by after being invested. It's like when you are initiated into the seminary officially. On that day, you are going through the first phase of submitting yourself to the church, right? And your discernment commences in
yeah,
full. Then novitiate is the period where you get to learn about the spirituality of the community or the religious order you are joining or you are in, right? So in novitiate you get to learn some of these things, and it's a period of discernment whereby you get to discover yourself, you get to learn about yourself, you get to know yourself better and what you want for yourself, right? And then for Burundi, I was in Burundi to learn French, as well as it was like my 1 year, the 1 year pastoral stuff. That was what served as my own. So I had to work with in the movement with a group of
yeah.
students and to also learn French. So this did I cover all the questions?
Yes, good.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
But then just another disclaimer, right? And someone had mentioned this in one of the sessions. I'm pretty sure. See, know this at the back of your mind. The seminary does not make you holy. The seminary does not make you spiritual. Your spirituality, your holiness lies in you. You carve that for yourself. You create that for yourself. The only time you have to pray in the seminary is when you have the communal prayer, the vesper, the laus, and the suppline, and all those times. Those are the times you have to pray in the seminary. So if you want to be a spiritual, a holy priest, you create that time. When you hear of priests who are performing or who are doing very well spiritually, they created that time, not the seminary, because you are choked with loads of work, you are choked with different assignments. Where is the time? You don't have
Yeah.
that time, right? Because I know of brothers, for instance, who are outside the whole day trying to get things or to sort things for the community, right? And then for those ones, you go out in the morning, you come back in the night, you're already exhausted. Where do you have that time? You don't have the time, right? So you want to ask any other question, or I should just continue with my storyline?
Yeah, go ahead with the storyline. You are
Okay,
covering. You have covered your background. You have covered your challenges. So we are moving. It's natural. That's cool.
okay, okay. So like I was saying, at that point I was not hearing all those stuff. What are my parents giving to the community? In my mind, I was like, so the criteria for me to survive here is for my parents to give something to the community. So in my mind, I was thinking all those things, right? And then I have stuff like, I know you are intelligent, but you don't have monopoly of knowledge, and you don't have to be always logical and methodical. I was like, so when has irrationality become a criteria? for not being a priest, right? So I was all this all these stuffs were like adding more.
So
all the,
don't
so all this
don't
stuff
mind the
were,
comments so that it doesn't distract you. If
sorry.
there's something I need you to
So,
respond to, I'll tell you. If there's a question,
okay.
I'm just
Okay, if there are
putting
any
the
questions,
comment.
just let me know. Just let
Yes,
me know if there are
yes,
any questions. So all these
yeah,
things were like giving me more reasons why uh, I was just called to the seminary but not called to the priest, right? So
yeah.
I will pause everything about my background here. But then I totally love the experience. They helped in shaping the individual I am today, right? They they help me in building resilience, right? They help me in building resilience. So I will just pause here and
So let's
before I
get
pause here,
to
I will just
okay.
before I pause here, just to let you know, see, the seminary that you are in the seminary does not mean you must become a priest. Please bear that at the back of your mind. That you are in the seminary does not mean you have become you must become a priest. Your being in the seminary helps you to discover yourself. It helps you to know your why, right? It helps you to know your why. It helps you to discover yourself, to discern, right? To discern your value, your vocation. So if you are considering going to the seminary, you don't have to be scared about the challenges you will face, about living when you feel you don't want to do it anymore, but you don't want to continue anymore. You don't have to be scared. You only have to be focused and know what you want to do for yourself, right? And trust me, pray at the same time because God listens and He will certainly guide and guide you.
Mm.
So
So
if
what
you have
was
any other
the
question,
yeah? What was your so we have talked about you've talked about your experience in the seminary. What was your transition moment process like? You've been in the seminary for the longest time, so you were getting into the society, you were getting into NYSC. What was that like for you? And
okay, so
you are the first person. No, you are the second person I spoke with Didacus about dating for ex-seminarians. So, if you don't mind, you can tell us about like your experience. Don't tell us details, like just having been in the seminary. How does that influence the way you relate with the opposite sex? But begin from your experience of transitioning.
okay, so when I was leaving, Father, a priest asked me a question, Father Klaus. Yeah, I'm going to mention his name. Father Klaus and Father Paul, they asked me a question, what next? I think Remy J also asked me that question, what next? And I was just very simple. I was like, I'm going for my NYC. After my NYC, hopefully by God's grace, I'll get a job. After that, I will pursue my master's in international relations. So I was very specific. And to the glory of God, I did my NYC. I have a master's degree in international studies. I have a professional diploma in education. I am I'm a certified teacher from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even though I don't teach anymore, right? So transitioning life after seminary. So for me, I decided, right? And at this point, I'm going to say that decision makes a man. You get decision makes a man. I decided what the course I wanted to chart for myself, right? And I was like, okay, from the seminary, I'm going to my NY for my NYCs immediately. But then we were delayed for like for like 1 to 2 months in 2016 when I left. So I left the seminary a day to my birthday, to my 24th birthday. That was when I left the seminary on the 1st of
Mm.
March. I was born on the 2nd of March. So I left on the 1st of March. So as immediately I left, I knew I was going to face uh, some kind of vibes from family members, right? That may be affecting the atmosphere. But then I was just resolute in staying focused. And for me, it was easy for me because while I was a seminarian, you hardly see me wearing the sultan self. You will hardly see me. So when I go on break, I just attend normal mass, and I go back home. When it's time for resumption, I zoom back, just maintaining my peace. So when I left the seminary, the first thing I did, I joined a football team in Makodi. I joined the football team and I kept myself busy. Yes, while
Yeah.
awaiting my posting for NYC, I kept myself busy for that period. Anybody who asked me, bros, how far with this? I say, no, now school I been go come back. So it was very easy. My mom, my mom initially thought it was a woman who was chasing me away from the seminary, but it was expected. So I had my daily routine, right? I had my daily routine. My routine was in the morning, I wake up, I get stuck in one book or the other. I read. See, I read a lot that period. If I take a book of 500 pages, trust me, 2 days I'm done. And if you ask me anything from that book, I'll give you a summary, right, of what I've read in that book. So I devoted that period in reading and surfing the internet and the rest, right? I dedicated that period in reading, surfing the internet, right? And uh, footballing. So those were the things I was doing. So I wrote a lot that period. And I'm just going to throw this out to you. So there's what is called free writing, FREE, then writing. So you can just, when you feel you are bored, you don't know what to do, just take a pen and a paper and just write anything that comes to your head. And trust me, that will make you feel good, right? After doing your writing. Do you understand? So those are the things I was doing, and then I was posted to Imo State. I served in one typical village that there was no light, and there was no light for like 1 year. But I, of course, now waiting we go to go do. We signed up for that, so I stayed there. I didn't redeploy. I went to where they posted me, and I had a reason for going to that place they posted me because I wanted to learn it the hard way. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't scared to face the society. So I wanted to face the society, and it's by going to anywhere they posted me to that I would get that, right. Besides, I was going to an environment where nobody knows me or knew me, so it's easy for
Yeah.
me to just fit into the society. So I
Yeah.
was running. I was going for my normal POP and sorry PPA, my normal PPA, my place of primary assignment. And then in the evening time, I have a group of students who come to me for me to teach them one or two things. And I was teaching them English at that point in time. So I was doing that. And then when I have time, I go to play football. And at that period, I soaked myself in the group of fellow core members, playing other games and the rest. And all those periods were like really learning moments. Yes, it's going to be difficult when you leave the seminar, or when you are changing a vocation and you are coming out there. It's going to be difficult as in fitting into the society. So that's the main challenge a lot of people have, because they are scared of what the society is going to say. They are scared of what people are going to say. They are scared of what their parents, their family and friends. Dear brothers, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I'm going to tell you that when you are scared, do it scared. Stereotypes. I'm an ex-seminarian, and so what? You are not owing anybody, you not kill anybody. There are people who are already ordained priests. There are people who are already ordained priests and they left the priesthood. There are people who go into a particular profession and they say, okay, this profession is not my profession. I want to leave this profession. So you are an ex-seminarian, and so what? You are not owing any human being, right? Just live a good life. Live your life in such a way that people will not say, no wonder he left the seminary, right? Just live your life in such a way that people will not say, no wonder he left the seminary, no wonder he couldn't survive in the seminary. You get?
Man, this
If
is
it
this
is
is
marriage,
powerful. This is
so
powerful.
stereotype.
I'm ex-seminarian, and so what? Continue, please.
People will always say something. Forget about the stereotypes. People will always say something. Live your life to the fullest, to the best, but be good, right? Be good,
Yeah.
and don't involve in anything funny, right?
Yeah.
Just be good.
So this is going to be very quick. I want to make a summary of what you have said, just because these are powerful points that I think both seminarians and ex-seminarians and every other person who is transitioning a life career or a vocation should keep in mind. Free writing.
So
That's the
sorry.
same thing.
hold on. Sorry. After keeping this, so sorry. Have we talked about like the? Are we done talking about the transitioning period? Because there are other
No, no,
points
no,
that I
no,
need
no.
to mention. Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. You can proceed with the points. Proceed. Then I
Yes.
will come back. I will continue.
Yeah. So free writing is the same, or not the same thing exactly, but it is almost like journaling. Journaling is something that is very helpful in handling depression and handling difficult times. Thank you, Francis, for bringing that up. Um, as a seminarian, Francis did not wear sultan in his hometown, and this is something I've been speaking about. Most seminarians go about pontificating as if they're already priests. They even go for functions and show themselves. And at the end of the day, when you are pulled out or when you decide to leave, it becomes more difficult for you to assimilate into the society because you have hung your shoulder as seminarian. And then Francis also kept himself busy, as we can see. He loves football so much, so much. And when he left the seminary, he went to join a football team. And this is something that I think was very powerful because even for me, when I get very busy, once I enter the football pitch, the whole world comes to a halt. Can you tell us before you continue to the other points, what are some of the key
Can
elements
I?
that makes reading easy for you? Oh, Didacus is here. Didacus, you
Yes,
want to say
Okay.
something?
yes,
Um, Let me introduce you to Francis. Francis Didacus is one of our brothers. He only anyway. Didacus, introduce yourself. We're all alive here.
I, good
Didacus, go
evening,
ahead.
my brothers.
Yes.
I don't know. From my end, the echoing is so hard that I can hear each of you like 4 times.
Oh my God. Is this from my microphone or what? Francis, are you on the live on your phone or something?
Okay, I'm here with you. Sorry, I just checked something on my phone. I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Didacus, please continue.
Okay, so my name is Didacus. I'm an ex-Augustinian seminarian, and I've been on the show before. I like what Son of God is doing. It's a way of encouraging our brothers who are downcasted for many reasons. And of course, what Francis is turning out is indeed encouraging for people who are still down with trying to cross the river of the seminary and entering the real
A
world.
second. A second.
Yeah.
Continue,
For,
brother.
for those of us who are philosophers, reality is not often what we see.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so the truth is life is not the same for everybody. That is the first thing. People's desires and destinies are not the same. And of course, our backgrounds as well. So what motivated A to go to the seminary may not be the same thing that motivated the same as what how A would take his expulsion from the seminary is not the same way B will take it. However, the most important thing is the fact that you wake up and you are no longer a seminarian. You have to accept that fact, and you don't have to put yourself into I'm speaking more like Femi Falana because the thing is still echoing. I'm trying to be sure of what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I can
As,
hear
okay,
you
so
clearly.
yeah, so what Francis is saying is actually the key. Like what we had our when I had my own chance, I said similar things. You need to, as ex-seminarians, no matter the grounds on which you are being asked to leave, or on the grounds on which you decide to leave, you need to accept the fact that you are no longer in formation, you're no longer in seminary, you need to start fending for yourself. I've always told people that seminary is a very good place to be, especially for those who will become priests. But for those of us who will not become priests, it becomes like a disaster because formation is not really meant for those who don't end up not becoming priests. You are robbed of your early adulthood, your late adolescence and early adulthood, which really makes a man. You make friends that if you are not careful, like the three of us now talking and seeing ourselves now, you will agree with me that most of your friends, most of the classmates you had in your tertiary institution at the tertiary level of your education are priests. Just a handful of them are not priests. So those of us who are not priests, majority of us are struggling to make a meaning out of our life, and it is difficult for us to help each other. The only people who can help us maybe would seems to be the people who have made it to the priesthood, who see us very often as less. Should I say they are disappointed with us, or some of them are happy that thank God this person is not a priest. Some are maybe surprised that this person, I can't imagine this person is not a priest because he was one of the best. As you are, Son of God is making giving testimony of Francis. There are some persons who are happy that Francis is not a priest or Son of God is not a priest, that they are themselves priests today. There are some people who, because of what Francis or Son of God have achieved now, who are maybe people that are maybe envying either of you. Like, I wish I didn't make it so that I will be in the US or wherever enjoying myself as Francis is or Son of God is. But what I'm trying to say in essence is our our destinies are not the same. And the most important thing for us as ex-seminarians is the fact that we need to accept and walk away from the fact that we are no longer seminarians, we are no longer going to become seminary priests, and we must chart a new path for our lives. It's not going to be easy. I don't know. I'm not in the US. I don't know how life is there, but like if you come to the UK where I am, you have to start life afresh. It's like you're just a fresh graduate from the university. No matter who you were in Nigeria, if you come here, I've been opportune to work with people who were bank managers in Nigeria, people who were work people in Nigeria that are here, that are doing very funny jobs. Of course, they earn more than what they were earning in Nigeria. That's the truth, but they're doing funny jobs that on a normal day they will not do. As ex-seminarians, you must start life again like that. Where I told the Son of God when I was here sometime in February or so, when I left formation, I left seminary, the first job I did was security work. I was working as a guard. I was working like as a guard, opening and closing gates. You imagine somebody was just wearing shutan or habit yesterday. The next morning is opening gate as security, wearing guard clothes. You can imagine it was a very sharp and contrast switch, but I needed to do it to pick up life. So you must do that. You don't, I have people who are ex-seminary up to tomorrow that are still thinking that it's possible for them to be priests. My classmates who started philosophy together are 8 years in in the priesthood today. So if I still have a classmate who is not a priest yet, or probably who's not even a deacon yet, that feels he can still be a priest, I mean, you are deceiving yourself. Nobody who was in our class or who started philosophy with us is less than 50 years now. Nobody. The least you can see should be around 33, 34 years. Those will be the youngest of that class. And if you are 30 something years and you've not decided what you want to do with your life, because at some point in your life, maybe you spend 4, 5 years in the seminary, or 6 years, or 7 years, as the case may be, and you feel you must become a priest, my brother, you are deceiving yourself. You are deceiving yourself. Sometimes there is this saying that sometimes you don't see a door that is open because you are so focused on a closed door that is not going to open. And then there's an open door beside you and you can't see it because you are so focused, you're so fixated on the one before you that is closed. So
Yeah,
what Francis and what Son of God, I believe, have been doing all this while is to encourage us, those of us who are ex-seminarians who have not found our feet yet. Like when I was speaking with Son of God, I told him that we need to pull that spiritual shoot. You need to remove the spiritual shoot you are putting on. Stop seeing yourself as father. Stop seeing yourself as a priest to be. Stop behaving like one. You don't belong to that kind of to that class, to that category of people. Don't force yourself to belong to it. The people who are there don't see you like one of them. They may not really be looking down on you, but they don't see you like one of them. That is it. It's just like
yeah.
when we were in seminary, we never saw other boys like seminarians.
Hi, Didacus. Sorry, can you maybe summarize so that Francis can like finish his points? Okay. I really appreciate this point. I wish we can, but Francis.
I stopped there.
Oh, no, no, no. Just summarize. I really love what you've said. You have always made this outstanding point, just so that he can continue because we are not sure about some technicalities.
Okay,
So I'm not sure how far he can go on the life. You
my
know.
my summary is just to support what he's saying. We need to be ourselves, move away from what we have lost, start a new path. Don't be ashamed to start it. Nobody forced us to start this journey. We started it on ourselves.
Yeah.
You can't blame the church, you can't blame your parents, you can't blame the people around you, you can't even blame yourself for starting the journey. So if you cannot continue the journey, pick up again, start something new. That is what we are saying. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Didacus. We can continue this conversation. Francis, over to you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Jidakus, for sharing those wise thoughts, and they were so thoughtful. Thank you so much. So I will just pick it from where Jidakus stopped. So the essence, right, of everything is, or the essence of you exploring different vocation is to make meaning for your life. And I will say something like this. See, decision, I already mentioned it earlier. Decision makes a man. So you have to decide and you have to stay focused, right? Decide and go live your life. Go live a very peaceful life. And yes, it's going to be challenging. So he mentioned something that is very important, that so of the fear of people facing the society, right, is what makes them not to transition fully even after leaving the seminary. And
Yeah.
it's at that point that you are becoming a failure.
Yes.
You in yourself, you are not a failure, but the point whereby you decide to be in that shell, you don't want to step out of that, you don't want to go beyond that horizon, you don't want to explore. My brother, you go Jones, as in you go Jones Tayaba, you go do Bambiala for straight, and nobody care about you, nobody gives a damn about you. So circling back to what I was saying, right? Circling back to what I was saying, shortly after my NYC, there was a school calling me to come and teach French at the time. I played that school, as in I turned them before finally accepting. At that period, I was also trying to explore other career pathways. So I remember vividly my first job at the time was in a private school just beside of at the back of my house. How much were they paying me? 14,000. When I came to that school, do you know what I this was after my NYC. You know what I told my fellow teachers? So my work was basically to prepare the GSS3 students for their junior WAEC at the time, for their
Yeah.
JSE exam. And I told the other teachers that, see, una wey dey here to stay, na una own. Me, I no come here to stay. I come collect transport money wey I go take go find another work. That was it for me. And two
Yeah.
months I left that school. In short, I left that school. I sent in my resignation when I was in my sent my resignation. So I worked
Yeah.
in,
Well, we're losing Francis.
I guess, my network.
Uh,
So I left the bank after 10
okay.
months and I joined the development space. So I'm currently in the development space, right?
Mm.
And the same thing I said when I went to that school, that I'm not here to stay, was what I told my line manager when I first resumed at the bank. So we found a way of blending, as in we found a way of, we blended very well, and I could tell him something. So I told him that, Oga, I no come this bank to stay. Oh. I no see any career growth for here for me. Oh. And I no fit come stay here waste all my years. At the end, I no go get friends. So I am not here to stay. I am exploring other options. And he gave me his full support. Yes, I was focused. I was still doing my work very well. Right. I achieved all my KPIs. In short, I won two different awards when I was in the bank.
Mm.
So I achieved my KPI, helped the bank in also hitting targets. But the banking was not just for me, because of an experience my dad had when he was in the bank. So for me, I didn't want to go through that same route, even though I already committed everything in God, and I was like, God, please, you are going to guide me. You are going to. So yes, it's going to be very challenging leaving the seminar, because you spend most of your life in the circle of men, or in the circle of particular set of people, and then you are going to face the society. All people say about me, he left the seminary, he's a disgrace to the church, to his family, to the society, to the community, to his street. My brother, you no owe anybody. Please know that you are not owing anybody. If the moment you are leaving, either you decide to leave or they ask you to leave, have that resolution at the back of your mind that yes, you are going to face the society, you are going to face the world, and face the world back to back, bumper to bumper, face it that way. And at this point, I'm going to say one of the things you have to bear in mind is that you have to stay focused,
Mm.
because it's a rat race. So stay focused, because it's a rat race outside there, and you have to, like, don't, I've already mentioned this, right? Don't be scared of facing the society. I've spoken about stereotype. You are an ex-Nigerian and so what. I've spoken about that. Very importantly, build capacity. I was leaving the seminary. I had no connection. I don't know anybody. I didn't know anybody, right? And I'm the first son. I'm the first son. I didn't know anybody. I had no connection. I had no plug anywhere that I'm going to press a button. So for me, my transitioning phase was to go for NYC and then start hoping on God, right? And start hoping on God. But then you have to build capacity. Philosophy alone will not earn you a good job. You will only find yourself in the classroom teaching. So build capacity. If it is business, if you are business inclined, face business, learn a trade. If you are intellectually inclined, build capacity, either gain an additional qualification. You can run professional certifications online, because you can check Coursera, you can check Allison, you can check Udemy. There are a lot of them, right? There are a lot of professional courses you can run. Go to LinkedIn, set up your LinkedIn profile, learn. There are a lot of courses on LinkedIn that you can explore. Learn one or two things. Start learning, even Google, how to work with Google Sheets, how to work with Google Docs and the rest. Learning stuff like Excel, right? Start learning stuff like Excel. Start learning how to write. You can be. I left When I left the seminary, people were calling me to do their writing. Were calling me to do their writings for them. I had people from the states who were willing to pay. And I remember the first, there was a work, it was a PhD thesis, right? I wrote for someone. I wrote that up within a week, 100 pages. How much did I charge the person at the time? At that time, I charged the person 1,000 per page at the time, right? And I delivered till after that the person kept coming and was asking, can you, at the point I had to start declining all those write-ups, and because at some point I didn't have such time again. So build yourself, find a niche, go into that niche, conquer it. Don't just sit at home and be like, I've left the seminary, I cannot fit into the society. Who told you cannot fit into the society? Are you any anybody? Did you give anybody's daughter? Do you get anybody's daughter pregnant while you were in the seminary that you'll be scared of facing the society? Did you steal anybody's funds? You didn't do any of this thing. So so look for a niche, build yourself, build capacity. It's very very important. See, leaving the seminary does not make you a failure. You only become a failure when you force yourself into the seminary and you become an unhappy seminary and you do not do anything. That is the only point you become a failure. But leaving the seminary does not make you a failure. There are people who have left the seminary, they've made it big time. Look at these guys. Look at Fortunatus, for instance. He's having this platform, bringing people together to learn from them. Look at people like Felix. Look at people like Justice. Look at people like okay, are they not doing very well? They are doing very well. Or look at, I'm sorry to say, I'm calling some names. Look at guys like Drogba and the rest. Are they not doing very well? Chenuski and the rest. Are they not doing very well? They are doing amazingly well. Okay, for instance, the current governor of Benue State is a priest. He had to laicize himself, or they had to laicize him for him to do that. So must it be priesthood? Who even told you that it's the priesthood that is your real calling? Or are you trying to do some? Are you trying to boycott poverty? Because I'm so sorry to say, oh, but it seems some people actually say the priesthood is a do or die affair because they want to boycott poverty, which should not be the essence, which should not be the goal. As a priest, you are supposed to live according to the evangelical counsel, which is obedience, poverty, and chastity, of which obedience is the most difficult. Because if your religious society does not expect you to even own a phone and you are using the latest iPhone, are you being obedient? If your religious vow does not permit you to have like extra religious relationship, sorry, I'm speaking in code now, extra religious relationship, and you are hiding, and you are hiding when the sun goes down to commit all sorts of atrocities, does that make you a priest of God? Like I
Chinedu
said, see,
Celestin, excuse me, let me
see,
help one of my guys. Chinedu Celestin, you break this table, oh, you break this table, Chinedu Celestin.
let him break the
Continue.
table, because the type of lashes some persons, some religious or some clergymen will receive on the last day, 24, from all the angels and archangels, they will receive serious lashes from them on that day because of some of the, see, is sometimes when you look at some of things, you open your mouth and be like, God, was this what I wanted to sign up for? Like I said, please don't misquote me. Like I said, the priesthood is a noble vocation, and I really value and appreciate, respect people who are doing their work diligently. And that was why I started with some are called, right? They are chosen. Some are not called, they are chosen. Why some are called and they are not chosen, right? So importantly, when you're in the seminary, please create time to pray. Because if you think the seminary will come and teach you how to be shouting rekete, jegede scandal, oyobo scandal and the rest, the seminary will not teach you that. You create that time to be spiritual. I can give examples, right? I can give examples of priests who are doing very, you create that time for yourself. Pray, pray, beg God to always to always direct your life, to direct your steps, to guide you, right? And then please avoid mob or crowd mentality. The Anyagemeya syndrome, avoid it, right? If you are in there, if you want, do this thing, stand for the truth. It's better you stand alone and they know you that you are this person, you are standing for the truth. You should be known for something good, right? Not in the cycle of people, maybe they want to go and do some they want to go and gather to partake in some bottle of understanding. They will now be inviting you, and maybe if they are inviting people for something more spiritual or more helpful to them, they won't call you, right? Please don't call yourself into the priesthood or don't call yourself into the seminary. You are there to discern your vocation. And see, I know the fear of a lot of persons is going out there. I've been tagged with this identity. How do I change my identity? Please start finding a way to change that identity if you are no more in the seminary. Yes, it's going to be rough. It's not smooth. Yes, it was rough, very very rough for me. There are stories that if I start drilling down or delving into, you'll be like, ha, how come is it able to have this courage to go through all these things and still have the confidence to still be sharing some of this experience? It's rough. So I had to seek the permission of a friend of mine to share his own story, right? After leaving the seminar, he did different types of work. Was he tiling? He did tiling. Was he plumbing? He did plumbing. Today he's doing very well as a very good businessman. And Fortunatus, you might want to invite him on this call. I can share his name with you later
I
on,
know
right?
him. I know him. He taught me bass guitar. Is he not the guy?
Oh, great. Yeah, yeah, you know him. He's doing very
He's
well
the
now.
one.
This guy, nothing
He's
that
the one that taught me bass guitar.
there's nothing he did not go through. He saw see Shege Pro Max. He saw it. If there's anything Shege, he saw Shege. Do you know what they call boy boy? He did boy boy, but he's doing very well now. He's my very good friend and brother. I had to seek his permission to share this story so as to motivate anybody who is listening to me, right? So it's going to be
Yeah.
rough, but look for your niche. Look for that niche. Go into that niche and create a meaning for yourself. You define what you want to be, right? See, when you're in the seminar, your mentors decided what you want, what you should do. But outside the seminar, you have to decide your life for yourself.
Yeah.
Again, if you're in the seminary, very important. I would advise you, aside trying to meet all the needs or all the requirements for the priesthood, study hard, be vast, try to be versatile, right? Let them know you for something good. Oh, maybe say if they wan come go call people, they go drink beer, or they wan go do runs, they'll come they call you. Be known for something good. Study very hard, because if you fail too, you will be a disaster on the pulpit. Oh, you will not be preaching doctrines that were never doctrinized, or you will start be preaching things that will be termed heresy, or you will not be telling, there are some things God will not allow me say here. So please, so you will not be an apology when you become a priest. And see, there's this one that pains me a lot, right? Is the idea of notice me, the idea of notice me or favoritism. See, may God help us. Fortune, if there are any questions, please. Let me pause here. Hello, Fortune, can you hear me? Please, can anybody hear me? I don't know if since Fortune is out of the call. Okay, okay, you can hear me. It seems Fortunatus got kicked out of the call. So So these are just some of the little things I have to say, right? You just have to see, create, like I will always circle around creating that niche, building capacity. So for me, when I left initially, the 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 basic skill I had was writing. And yes, not to pride myself, but I was very good with writing, right? I was very good with writing. Though I'm this type of person that I can be very skeptical when you ask me to come for maybe a public function, come and speak publicly. I was very skeptical about doing such things. But when I went for my NYC, I was taking center stage because I had this thing. So why was I shying away from it? Why was I running away from it? There was no need for me to run away. I had to face those fears. See, it's okay to be vulnerable, right? It's very, very okay to be vulnerable. And because in your vulnerability, you come to discover, or you come to discover the strength, the stuff you are made of, right? It's okay to be vulnerable. So at that point when you are feeling like, okay, I don't know what is happening, my life is turning upside down, be vulnerable, speak out, speak to someone, seek for advice. So sadly, I didn't even have anybody I wanted to even say, okay, I will go and speak to this person, tell the person that this is what I'm going through, right? So I was a lone wolf for a very long time. I was just a loner. I was a lone wolf for a very long time. But in those periods, I was like trying to, God, what do you want of me? What do you want my life to be like? Right? So you need to deliberately conquer some of your fears. If you are afraid, yes, do it afraid. If you are afraid to start, take a step, right? Take a step. They say the journey of a thousand miles begins with just a step, right? And those who are the linguists here, they can help us. So take a step. It was this guy. It was this guy, Martin Luther, who said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But at all costs, keep moving. So just keep moving. Yes, it's going to be rough. It's never easy. So anybody who has left the four walls of the seminary who is doing it, was never easy for them, unless such persons are from very wealthy family, or they have serious connection, that there's a business already waiting for them to come and manage. But then, trust me, the seminary will train you to be a lot of things. One of them, it gives you leadership skills, it gives you organizational skills. That is if you know what you are doing in there. But if you are just going there just to be following all that the Lord and the masters have said we will do, then you are going to suffer if you finally find yourself outside the seminary. But learn all the things you need to learn. Any space, not just in the seminary, but any space you find yourself, learn everything, learn all the values you need to learn. Those values will come back to help you, right? So I don't know if there are any questions. Fortunatus, if you can hear me, please, if there are any questions, or if anybody has any question you want to ask me, please proceed. I think I can access the chat and I'm seeing some of the comments. So if you have any question you might want me to maybe shed light on, or if there's anything I missed out and you would want to hear from me on, I'm more than excited to share that as well. Yeah, you carry a nice one. Not only with XM and whatever someone wants to do in life needs step. Yes, you always have to plan. Stay focused, right? Stay focused at every point in time. Build capacity. See, learning never stops, right? Learning never stops. And the more you learn, the more you get to understand things, or how the world is being operated upon. You get. So sorry, I have to respond to this quickly. So sorry. Fortunatus' computer just crashed. He said he doesn't know what happened, that he will have to go live on his phone. So yes, the training, Chukwuka, the training might contribute to one of the reasons why it's difficult for most seminarians to fit into the society. Reason being that the seminary space, especially in Nigeria or in Africa, makes one to live a regimented or a secluded type of life, whereby when you are there, and sometimes we ourselves as individuals, we even contribute to that, whereby when we find ourselves there, we now start seeing ourselves as holy, the holies of holies. We are holier, or we are saintlier than those outside. My brother, as a seminarian, you are just a brother, you are just a lay brother, you are not yet a priest, you are still discerning your vocation. So do not exonerate yourself, so that you will not now go and sit on the high table, and then they will not demote you and tell you to go and sit among the crowd, right? So yes, the regimented nature of life in the seminary, the secluded nature of life in the seminary also makes it difficult for some individuals to explore the society or to fit into the society very well. But like I said, you have to be deliberate about, and you have to be deliberate and intentional about fitting into the society, right? You have to, unless you don't have other responsibilities or things to worry about. I don't know, Chukwukwa, if I answered your question. Chukwuka, did I answer your question? Your question? Please, did I address that question, or do I need to throw more light? Can anybody hear me? Okay. Please, if there are any questions, I will be more than willing to respond to them. Okay, great, great. But you now to just confirm that you can hear me. Chooks Divine, what was your, okay, why is it that, okay, so someone asked, why is it that people find it hard to accept their calling? So I don't know, it depends on what you mean by your calling, right? So every vocation is worthwhile exploring. If 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 you are a priest, be a good priest, right? if if your calling is to be a priest, embrace it, and embrace it wholeheartedly. If your calling is to be a teacher, who knows, by being a teacher you will explore the world. If your calling is to be a banker, do it very well. If your calling is to be is to even be a carpenter, do it very well. If your calling is to be an engineer, do it very well, right? So your own is that pray for God to lead you. Whatever calling is yours, let God direct you, let God guide you and lead you, and He should assist you while exploring that. And if at any point He feels that this calling is not yours, He should let you know and make it easy for you to fit, or for you to find your right direction. And then someone said, as a parent, don't force your children to priesthood. It might not be his calling, and he might not be chosen. Case closed. Thank you, Eukaria, for that. right? Thank you, Kia. So at the point, at the point when I told when I first mentioned to my dad that I was leaving the seminary, he was like, "Why?" Initially, I wanted to go into a seminary. He said, "No, I should not go into a seminary." I said I must go into the seminary. Now that he has accepted, and that he has already told people that his son will soon be ordained, I'm telling him that I'm leaving the seminary. What should he tell people? I think that, well, I never told you to. I never gave you the permission to go inform people that your son is in the seminary. Besides, I told you that I was just studying, and I don't know why it's now that you are asking, because you didn't ask me all this why. How far is it going? So why is it now you are asking me, right? Yeah, people can see you. I can see you, Fortunatus.
Oh my god, my computer has crashed. I don't know what happened.
So
So I
sorry,
joined the
bro.
party.
So sorry about that.
It's okay. It's you people that came to break table now. You and Chinedu, Celeste Chinedu. You guys came to break table. We have broken my computer now.
No vex, no vex. You know say me, I no dey like face public, because if I face public na rema I dey spit out, na anything wey enter my mouth I dey spit out, na rema I dey spit out. So mo just dey spit out the rema dey go like that.
It's okay. Please continue. Thank you
But
so much.
I just hope we are learning something from this story and some of these things I'm sharing. I just hope.
Oh my god, I am learning a lot. I hope that our brothers and other people are learning too. There's nothing close to this, honestly. Thank you so much. There's nothing close to this. Is there any other question that is on the floor?
So
If you
the
are
duty of a parent, the duty of a parent. So someone was asking for advice for parents. So the duty of parents is not to force your children into a particular vocation or into a particular profession, unless you are very sure that you've created everything, you've created a safe landing for your children into that vocation or into that profession. That is when you will say, okay, this is a family's business. Come and take over the family's heritage. Let your child discover what they want to be and support them. If your child today tells you that I want to be a dancer, support him or her to dance. If your child says I want to be a a scrabbler, support him or her. Buy all the Scrabble games. If you can even teach him or buy him all the resources, make the resources available. That Scrabble might be what will change the destiny of your family. I remember at a point I had statements like this from my dad, like what will philosophy bring on the table? What, you can't even use philosophy to buy a cup of garri. Nothing wey I know here. Nothing wey I know here. As in, you can't even use philosophy to buy a cup of garri. That then I should go and buy after 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 like five years and 6 months in the seminary, was now telling me to go and buy jam form and apply and apply for accountancy. And I was like, God knows the confusion I faced growing up will not happen now that I've discovered myself. Because growing up it was rough. I didn't know what I wanted to become when I was